The superhero school in the Gen V trailer has a rich, dark history in the world of The Boys. Here's what's really going on in that wild trailer. The Boys is arguably the biggest superhero show on television. Now that the Arrowverse is dead and gone, Prime Video's satirical drama reigns supreme. Just like any good modern superhero title, The Boys is already big enough to be at its cinematic universe stage, with an animated spin-off releasing last year to some acclaim, a new one just around the corner, and possibly more in the future. Sure, it seems ironic that a show so focused on pointing out the evils of capitalism and megacorporations turning superhero stories into massive franchises is becoming a franchise of its own. But The Boys manages to justify its expansion thanks to sharp writing and a love for cartoonish absurdism. Now that world is entering new territory as it goes back to school in Gen V, a spin-off series about Soups in college, which eventually turns into a story of murder and depravity. It's a spin-off of The Boys, alright, and it looks suitably crazy. Our protagonist, Marie Moreau, played by Jazz Sinclair, is an ambitious young woman with powers who not only wants to become the first top-ranked freshman in the history of the prestigious Godolphin University School of Crime Fighting, she also aims to be the first black woman in the Seven. But the road to becoming a superhero is paved with blood, with the students using their powers for degeneracy and partying. Of course, Marie is no saint either, as she has the power to turn her own blood into weaponized tentacles and can even control the blood inside other people's bodies. But Gen V is not a murder mystery. Instead, Prime Video describes the show as the Hunger Games set in a superhero college. Indeed, a big part of the story centers around the ruthless competition to become the top-ranked student.
Welcome to Godolphin University.
While watching the trailer for Gen V, fans of The Boys may be wondering just how this connects to the main show, and whether Huey, Butcher, and the other boys might make an appearance. Well, though we don't know all the details, we know enough about how the spin-off connects to the main series. For one, the trailer shows a few characters from The Boys, like A-Train, Ashley, and Senator Newman, meaning that Vought is heavily involved. Showrunner Eric Kripke told Deadline last year that Gen V takes place during the events of The Boys Season 3. According to Kripke, events from that season will heavily impact the story of Gen V, particularly Soldier Boy, the presidential campaign happening in the background, and more. What's more interesting is that Kripke said a few storylines happening in Gen V will then impact Season 4 of The Boys. Given that Victoria Newman is set to be the big villain of Season 4 of the main show, the fact that she's in the trailer for Gen V may hint towards a big role for the vice presidential candidate, and bad news for everyone else.
Everything is
The Boys is always at its best when diverging from the comics, which it constantly does. That being said, knowing a bit about the source material could unlock clues about what is in store in Gen V. In the comic book story arc We Gotta Go Now, we're introduced to the GMan, who are essentially just the Vought International version of the X-Men, a school for ostracized, superpowered outsiders. The top students are part of an elite superhero force, but there are multiple teams. In typical Vought fashion, of course, the GMan are not really underdogs or outsiders, but rich kids branded as misfits for marketing purposes. Given the fact that people with powers aren't hated or discriminated against in The Boys, it's likely that the inner struggles and conflicts of the characters won't come from that, but from the characters in the show being the first generation of Soups to be fully aware their powers are not gifts from God, but the result of being drugged as babies. That's gotta mess with the mind of a superpowered teenager at a prestigious school, and we can expect the outcome to be pretty shocking.